Hi, I'm Jim Atkinson. Today we're speaking with Rachel Daniels. Rachel is the head of transitions for Avidian and plays a pivotal role in our inorganic growth strategy. Rachel, we've done a lot of advisor transitions together. Can you give us a little bit of an overview of the types of transitions you've been involved in?
Sure. So we've transitioned virtually every type of advisor, whether that be broker-dealer or RIA, just single advisors or advisors coming over with a couple of different team members. And most recently from Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, all the way through a full firm acquisition of another RIA.
Your most recent transition, which you're still wrapping up, was a full firm buyout with a retiring owner in Austin, Texas?
That's right. So we acquired the entire firm and successfully integrated their team into our Austin office.
I think you and I can agree that the number one concern of most advisors is, will my clients come? Can you help them alleviate that concern? And what do you do to help maximize the client transition?
Those conversations are really important. So our client conversion rate is very high, often over 90%. So we focus on clear communication, setting the advisor up for success. We have a dedicated support team, and we really just focus on that clear communication at every single step, making sure that nothing is missed, the advisor feels supported, ultimately giving their clients a really good onboarding experience.
Okay, pivoting from just the onboarding experience, what else can get missed in the transition? Because even if the clients come, you want to make sure they have a great experience once they're here as clients. How do you ensure that there aren't any steps missed?
So we've developed workflows, very detailed project plans where everyone is accountable at every step of the project. So we have daily communications leading up to an advisor's transition, working with their team as well to ensure that our team members feel integrated. So we're focusing on accuracy and speed.
When you get notification that an advisor is going to be joining, what's the lead time that you would like to see? And does that impact the success of the transition?
It can. I think that we've done some transitions very quickly depending on the needs of an advisor, and those have been very successful. So I would say on average, we would love to have anywhere from a 3 to 6 month lead time, but we've been able to have very successful transitions regardless of the time frame that we're given on the front end.
I've seen your schedule and your Gantt chart, and I think it's sort of 60 days minimum to sort of hit all the points, right?
Right.
But let's talk about the one that you did that was the shortest, which, as I recall, because I was a part of that, was 5 days.
Yes.
It's from the time we got notification to the time they walked in the door and started transitioning clients. How did that transition go?
That transition went fantastic. So that was a team of 2 advisors that came on board. We were able to successfully onboard 100% of their book of business. And in addition to that, ever since then, those 2 advisors have become key members of our team. They serve on our technology leadership team. So they've fully integrated, their clients are happy, and we're happy having them here as members of our team.
As I recall, that was about 3 years ago, and I think they've doubled their assets.
They have.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So when someone walks in the door on their first day, are you prepared? Does it take a lot of setup time? How do you get them going as quick as possible?
So we have a dedicated transition support team in every single one of our departments. So they have a client service representative who walks them through the paperwork. We have also engaged with third parties at times, depending on the size of the transition and the needs of that specific advisor. We also work with our custodial partners. So while we have our internal transition team here, our custodial partners also have a transition team. So maybe an advisor is getting used to working with a custodian for the first time. They're having to get educated on how those custodians can support their transition and what services that their clients can potentially get being onboarded to, let's say, Schwab or Fidelity for the first time.
Okay, so speaking of custodians, let's talk about that for a sec, because the firm is multi-custodian. How do you decide which client goes to which custodian, or does the advisor have to wholesale pick a particular custodian that they move their clients to?
So I feel like we're very unique in that we focus on a client-first approach. So we can choose a custodian based on the needs of the client. So maybe they have a specific need for a margin rate or something like that. So we work with the advisors to obtain that information, and we let them choose. So an advisor can have a little bit of their book of business at one custodian and some accounts on another custodian. So either way, their client's going to get a very similar experience, but all while meeting their specific needs.
So you go client by client based on the client needs and what might be unique to that custodian.
That's exactly right.
Rachel, let's talk about some of the biggest challenges, because this is a lot of work, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that could potentially go wrong, and sometimes they don't go as smooth as you'd like. But what are some of the biggest challenges you see?
Let's break that down. So you have challenges on the RIA side and challenges on the broker-dealer side. On the broker-dealer side, oftentimes advisors can't bring over client information with them, so they're having to rebuild that client record. So the team here on our transitions work to make sure that the clients have a seamless experience when they're doing their onboarding. We take a very hands-on approach. Another challenge is focusing on the team members who are onboarding and integrating into Avidian. That's so important to us. We don't want to just focus on their clients. That's number one priority, but we really want to focus on those team members and making sure that they are getting trained and onboarded and fully integrated into Avidian.
So I know it's a challenge because they're switching systems oftentimes, especially coming from a broker-dealer, going FINRA to SEC. It can be a very different world. Technology, regulations, compliance can be very different systems. But I know that I've seen your flow chart. It does start, months before. And oftentimes, if possible, before they start, but at the very least, day one they walk in, you've got training videos and other things, and you've got a schedule of events already laid out to train them. Is that correct?
Yes, so we have daily kind of calendar blocking. So while we want their client transition to be their number one focus, we pre-book their calendar with meetings with the technology team and our implementation support individuals to help make sure that we're kind of hitting those benchmarks where they feel fully confident in all of the systems and programs that they're going to be using here at Avidian, while able to deliver on what they're telling their clients about coming onto Avidian.
What's the typical time frame in which you would say they're really fully up and running and operational, and they've sort of figured all that stuff out?
I mean, I would love for team members to be really comfortable with all of our programs and software and systems by the 3-month mark, but we do ongoing training. So we have monthly advisor meetings, specifically focused on operations and compliance. But during this transition period, I really try hard to stay on those time blocks and find time on their calendar to make sure they feel comfortable and know how to use our systems.
So we've covered some of the challenges. What are some of the surprises you've seen?
Some surprises we've seen, I think, are the resiliency of the clients. I think they are excited to come over when they hear that and have that conversation with their advisor and all that Avidian can offer. We really focus on that clear communication, and that's why our client conversion rates are so high. I think another surprise too is just how valuable these advisors that we bring on can be to the overall team at Avidian. Most of them play key roles now on leadership teams, and that's something that we really look for is culture fit.
I think technology and workflows, oftentimes we find that they've got a better way of doing it. And I think we have no ego or concern about just integrating their process or technology when it fits.
That's absolutely right. So we love that feedback, specifically as it relates to the transitions. We have those 30 and 60 and 90-day checkpoints where we really want to hear from the advisor about how their transition went so that we can improve, not just on the transition side, but to your point, on anything related to software and workflows and technology and systems.
I know sometimes those early stage meetings, an advisor will mention a particular technology that they absolutely love well before they join us. And I think you head up the technology leadership team. And so you'll take that idea and you'll go back to that team and do some investigation.
We always want to stay on the frontal boundary of technology. We don't want to remain stagnant. So if anybody has a good idea on a software or program that can help us enhance any of our processes, we certainly want to look at that.
Rachel, it was great talking to you today. Thank you.
Thank you.